on my way to work. Um, Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. I've been seeing a lot of videos about when men want women to submit. They want women to submit. And they're upset. I don't know what the heck is going on out here. I just don't. Because if we're going to be talking about biblically, if we're going to talk about Bible, if we're going to talk about what Jesus said, then it's a no-brainer. I don't believe a woman should submit to a boyfriend. She shouldn't submit to somebody that she's occasionally dating, and shouldn't be knocking any boots with anybody until she got married. She shouldn't do that. So when it's just not adding up to me, because when we talk about submission, Jesus says to the husbands to love your wife, to love your wives like Christ loved the church. So rule number one, it got to be your wife. And then he says to the women to submit to your husbands like the church submits to Jesus Christ. Like the church submits to Christ. So that's the main thing. You got to be married. He didn't say if you're dating to submit to your boyfriend. He did not say that. And these were the rules and regulations. And I've said this in my other video. These are the rules and regulations to folks that's dealing with marital issues, because y'all tug and warn, you need to love your wife. If your husband is loving you, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Come on now. If your husband is loving you like Christ loved the church, and Jesus Christ gave up his life for the church, he died for us, he protected us. So I'm just trying to understand, like, where's all of this new, you have to submit? I mean, are y'all looking at the woman like as if she's a dog or something like that? Like, sit, boo, sit type of stuff? I'm just trying to understand this, because the statistics of marriage nowadays is just not adding up. It's a lot of single parents, a lot of single families. It's not a lot of real marriages, if you know what I mean. Real meaning covenant, one flesh, real. I ain't talking about you seconds and thirds and fourths that's out here committing adultery. I'm just saying it's not a lot of real marriages. It's a lot of adultery going on. So you can't possibly submit to a man that ain't your husband, because Jesus defines that if you marry another, you doeth committeth adultery. So if that's your second husband, you ain't supposed to be submitting to that, because it's not your husband. But let's talk about what came before the submission. Love your. I don't hear none of that. I don't hear none of these dudes talking about, man, I love my wife, I make sure she good. That there was a video that somebody posted where the husband comes home from work and the wife is eating a slice of pizza, and she's eating it on a plate. And he's like, man, I thought I was going to come home to a full course meal, man. And he's taping her, belittling her, yelling at her, talking down to her, frustration on her. He ain't loving her. He is despising her, and then said a couple of times on film, what was the point of us getting married, man? How can you submit to something like that? Jesus said to love your wife like Christ loved the church. If he walked in and saw that she eating one slice of pizza and there's nothing else cooked, it should have been, hey, you hungry? Let me go ahead and order something for both of us to eat. How was your day today, baby? You know what I mean? You come through the house like a tyrant and you want somebody to submit to a monster. Get out of here with that. Before submission, there is love. There's not saying I'm the man and I have to be there's love. You're not gonna submit to somebody beating you with a bat, are you? You want to push her down, you want to talk down, and then say you're supposed to submit because I'm a man. Get out of here. He said, like Christ loves the church. Are you loving your wife? Then if you're not loving your wife, then that's the issue why you're not getting any submission. Period. That's a no-brainer. And then you got some women out here. Some of us women need to learn how to no. But there's a difference between being oppressed, being in bondage, and there's a difference between your husband is loving you. And what type of submission are y'all talking about here? Whatever you like, my king. Are you talking about that type of submission? I'm just trying to understand like what's going on with folks these days. They're demanding things without putting out certain stuff. It's a two-way thing. It is definitely a two-way. It's a two-way thing. Like you have to do your part as a man, and she has to do her part. And then really, you have to do your part as a husband, and she has to do her part as a wife. And that's only following directions of what Christ said. Love, love your wife, and submit to your husband. Love your wife. Ain't nobody going. Who in the heck gonna? Who's gonna have issues with submitting to their husband if their husband is loving them? Y'all get on here and y'all get online and be dogging a dog mess out of your wives and then make podcasts and YouTube videos and social media. Look at what she doing. Look at what she doing. See, she ain't submitting. There is no type of love in that, sir. And you want her to submit to a tyrant. This dude worse than Hitler, and you want her to sit up here and be like, whatever you like. If you feel like you want to destroy a city, then okay. There's no way. Don't ask stupid questions. And you're sitting up here trying to do your own equation and come out with your own results when Jesus said to the husbands, he told you what to do. How many of y'all can truly honestly say that you've loved your wife? And wives, you got an issue if your husband been really loving you, respecting you, I mean really loving you, and you straight carrying him. There's something ain't right with you. But the women I know, the women I know, the women that I've seen, um, a lot of them are hurt. But if they had a good man that loved them, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. Like, but again, we got to go back to the statistics of men who call themselves high value, but they don't believe in marriage, which is the most valuable thing, which God had created us to have and to do and to apply in our lives. You leave your father, your mother, you cleave to your wife, and you're no longer two but one flesh. But y'all don't even believe in that. But you want submission. You want, this is the crazy thing about it. You want sex. Let me just call it what it is. You want education. It's not adding up. So that's my little 2 cents about it. Is that you talking about submission? Are you married? Then it's crazy to me how men try to post other videos of women who are married saying that they submit to their husbands. Good for you. You're supposed to. That should be a no-brainer. But how can you sit up there and talk about those things to a woman who ain't married, that been with a man for 5, 10 years, and he don't even plan on putting a ring on it? And how as a man could you parade around a video of a woman saying that she submits to her husband and you ain't even married? And you saying, see, women, see, no, you want that because it's already women out here giving their bodies over to men that they're not married to. You know, why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free? You know how they used to say. Some of y'all don't even have the urgency to do it, not thinking that you're going to go to hell because you're sitting up here having sex, which is a sin called fornication, committing adultery with folks that ain't your husband and your wife. going straight to hell with gasoline draws on it, and you don't care. But then you turn around and be like, why isn't that one? Why women are feminine? Why aren't they submitting? Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Are you married? No. And I don't plan to be either. I just want to know why my girl won't submit. Wait. Submission only comes from a wife. And you have to love your wife. You talking crap to your wife, you making it whatever, you can forget to. Are you kidding me? Come on, y'all. Come on, you love. That's make it make sense. Please make it make sense. Stop crying over things when you're not even putting in work, or trying to improve yourself or how you treat your wife. You just coming off straight dominant like some military whatever. I mean, if we really want to talk about submission, I mean, are you talking about those women overseas that walk around and you can't even see their eyelashes? You talking about those women overseas when as soon as the man come in the house, they got to go in the back room? You talking about them? That some folks look at them like they're less than nobodies because they're just, baby bearing people. Are you talking about that type of submission? That's a sin. That's a sin. So I don't know what you try, or what type of, are you equating that with, some of y'all beat the brakes out of your own daggone dog that God created to protect you and your household. If a burglar or somebody coming to do harm, he barking, but here you are whooping a daggone dog in a corner because you think you can do it because you a man and it's a dog. So you feel like you can, because she's a woman, submission is supposed to happen. But you have not one loving bone. You need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. And I say this to all of the men out there that's looking for submission, but you don't even know how to love. That's a no-brainer. It's embedded into women. There's a no-brainer. If your husband is loving you like Christ loved the church, that's a no-brainer. Like, what type of submission are you talking about? Hop on one foot? What type of? I'm just trying to understand. Like, what type of submission are you talking about? You don't have to be like he's the leader. We already know that the man came first before the woman. We know that. Now, if you're talking about you're not arguing with your husband. I mean, you may have little arguments here and there, but you know, and I don't know what's wrong with people. Like, I don't know. Like, I submitted to my husband until I couldn't submit no more. I submitted to my husband, especially when he dragged me all up in court. I was like, babe, but look, I'm your wife. I'm your wife. Until the Lord was like, fight back, and I got you. You can't submit to somebody that's not loving you. Period. You can't. It does not. The laws don't work out that way. You have to love your wife. And when you love, then submission, and then he tells the wife to submit to your husband. Those are two different roles that God had given to the man, and I'm sorry, to the husband and to the wife. And I'm not saying, because some people can use it and be like, well, what if she's not whatever? Then that means I ain't gotta love her. That you supposed to stick with your role. She's supposed to stick with hers. But I'm sorry, sir. There's no way in heck that she's gonna sit up there and get her head punched off her shoulders because you just decide to go on a punching spree. And you want her to stand right there and submit to the punches. It's not gonna happen. There are some women that really go that far as to take a whooping because this is what they feel is a sign of submission. No, some of y'all have abused your positions as men and women, and as husbands and wives. You have abused your positions. Therefore, you need to go into the woods and humble yourself. You need to go into fasting and praying and asking God to show you how you can improve yourself before you're not even giving over what you're supposed to be given. Oh Lord, hold on, you guys. But yeah, so this whole big thing, women are submitting anymore. It's crazy coming from a whole bunch of dudes, and I'll guarantee you, majority of them, these jokers ain't married, and majority of them are probably, and if they're not married, they're pretty much them put their wives away or divorced. They got their little divorce decrees and stuff. But you're sitting up here and you're trying to make this huge uprising about submission. But yet, a lot of these dudes don't even know how to be the own leaders of their own households. You just think because you're a man, you were born male, that you have to be dominant. You were born male, that certain things are supposed to happen because you're a man. No, no. So it's like you sitting up here, this person that did something wrong to something innocent, and as a wife, she's supposed to sit there and submit because she's a woman and a wife, so I just have to submit. Nah, heck no. Heck to the no. Some of y'all have abused your position as husbands. You have abused your positions as wives. And until you check yourself, and to you, God, to my wife, to my husband, until you ask that question instead of saying, I'm a man, you supposed to submit, you supposed to have my eggs and waffles and my shoes buffed and shined, and you supposed to do these things because I'm a man, buffed and shined, and you supposed to do these things because I'm a man. No, no, sir. No, no. That's all I keep hearing. Why isn't she submitting? That's what y'all want. And I'm gonna tell you another thing too. It's been, I don't know what in the world's going on, but I feel like this. If you can't seem to find a wife, a eligible woman to be your wife, because you do know when you get married, the wife that's still living is your wife. You know that, right? And if you're looking for somebody else other than the one that you married from the get go and became one flesh with, that's adultery. You know that, right? I mean, I've been talking about this for a very long time. You know, but for the single men out there who's looking for a submissive wife, why complain about the ones or the women that you see out here and you already see that they're not submissive material like what you looking for? But some of y'all got mental issues because you're looking for a punching bag. You're looking for a slave. You're looking for someone to oppress. You're looking for um someone to just jump when you say jump, because a real man who goes out here in search of a wife, because the Bible says a man who findeth a wife findeth a good thing, obtains favor from God. It's a good thing that you find her. When a man goes out and he looks and he finds a wife, he already sees whether or not this is something that he wants to have, because of not just, you may just be looking at the features, but because her inner beauty or how she carries herself. Something wrong with you, sir, if you're sitting over here looking over here to the streetwalkers, to the loudmouth streetwalkers, and you wondering why this streetwalker ain't submitting. But if you were looking on the other side of the tracks and you saw these women, women like Ruth, women that are, virtuous women, you can tell them, the type of women that you could take home to your mother, your father, that is presentable in their every being, and they're not putting up a front. If you were on the other side of the tracks looking for those type of features and those type of women, you wouldn't have these type of issues. And if you say, well, I have been, then sir, you need to check yourself because something ain't right with you. What amazes me, especially some of you men that's in your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s, and all in your 70s, you sit up here talking about there ain't no woman. I'm like, wait. You've been alive this daggone long and you still ain't found your wife? Then you ask the question, have you ever been married before? 90% of them would say, yeah, they have. Okay, so you already got your wife out there. But that's not good enough. I'm just being very honest. You need to really look at yourself in the mirror. And I was thinking about even a man like back in your heyday when you were in your 20s, a man is built different in his 20s and his 30s. If things start to slow down a little bit in their 40s, it can still get back. We all know the story about Samson. Even in his old age, Slim, he had strength. He did. But men in your youthful days, when you had your wife of your youth, it wasn't good enough. So what was the real issue? Was it because she didn't submit or because you were looking for something else? And now you've come to the point where you're just, you know, it doesn't matter what a woman contributes. It doesn't matter what she has, how much she has worked for, what she gained. I still want you to submit to me because I'm a man. Really? You walking around here with all these rings, submit to me. What are you, a pimp? Again, submission only comes to a husband. You don't submit to a boyfriend, an acquaintance. For what? That's not your husband. And submission only comes when there's love, because if somebody's sitting up here screaming you down to the point your heart starts beating and going into cardiac arrest and some more stuff like that, how can you love some, how can you submit, how can you love somebody like that? You're gonna try to get away. You're going to try to fight back. You're going to try to keep your sanity. Now, the Bible does talk about a man would rather be on the roof of his house than dealing with a nagging wife. So, some of you women out there, you do need to shut up and learn how to just be quiet. Stop always trying to get the last word in. And that means you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because you're going to find yourself bitter and lonely. Where's your husband at on the roof? He's learned to have more friends with the birds and the bees up on his roof, not with some other woman, or you know what I'm saying, than to deal with you on the roof, looking at the clouds and the sunshine, because as soon as he come down here, I'm going to start, shut up. Like that right there, I get it. You need to chill. You doing too much. You complaining too much. I've seen some disrespectful, horrible women, but again, it goes to the man. When you saw these issues in her, why did you marry her? Now it's too late. I saw a video yesterday of Kiki Wyatt, and the video, I don't know, and also too, not to get off subject, what's up with all of these singers now that's crossing over the gospel, but y'all wearing all of these, y'all got the BBLs and stuff, your hot pot so big, and you sitting up here singing the gospel as if that's not a distraction. Anything for a dollar, that's a sin. But anywho, I saw a video where Kiki Wyatt was They interviewed her first husband, which is a real husband. They interviewed her husband and her. And the amount of disrespect and craziness that was coming from this woman's her aura out of her mouth was just it was crazy to me. It was crazy. She wouldn't even allow her husband to talk. And I'm like, why is she doing this? And I'm looking at her eyes rolling, head bobbing, snapping teeth. And as soon as her husband went to say something, she and she hitting him on the back and popping him on this. And I'm like, one of you ladies need to really check her. That's the reason why you got you and your third husband is because you got issues, boo. And to be very honest with you, not to be very honest, you committing adultery. Period. Somebody make sure that she get the video. Because when I looked at the video, I said to myself, your mouth, you wouldn't even, they asked the question, you wouldn't even allow for your husband to finish his sentence. And then you were calling him champ and patting him like you wanted the guys and eyes swirling. I don't know if that's an unclean spirit in you, but it needs to be cast out and stomped because you can totally see in the video that your lack of respect, it made women feel uncomfortable, like how, and even men saying, how could he even put up with something like that? Now that right there, she needs to go to submission school. She needs to go to submission school. And just how calm he was, just how he let her interrupt. She just showed herself to be so ugly and rude. And somebody was like, she definitely have an anointing. No, I'm tired of y'all talking about people got an anointing because they know how to hit a high tune. There are people out here that don't know how to sing like that, but they have an anointing over them because of their love for God, because of their love for Christ. And because you love Christ, you ain't gonna ever disrespect your husband on film like that. But some women, they gotta learn. Even men too, you gotta learn. But why would you marry somebody like that? You saw the traits. When you first met her, she was interrupting you. When you first met her, she was talking over you, looking down like you don't know me, you don't know I got a Grammy, and you still went away. I wanna get to know you, not what Google says. And she was like, oh, but because of me, now they know you. Thank you very much. And the way she did that, it was so disrespectful. It was so disrespectful. Some women don't know how to be ladies because they were taught a certain way growing up, and so they perceive that the little Kims, the Nicki Minaj's, the Cardi B's, the all these thought women that represent the thought crew, the Beyoncé's, like these are the women that's supposed to represent them to be a certain type of women towards the men. Get rid of that rap and that trash. You got to read your Bible, seek ye the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, not thoughtness. But the same applies to you, sir. And you wonder why you're not getting love. You wonder why you're not getting submission. I'm just saying. You wondering why? My husband is not loving me. Like she don't even, as soon as I say something, she go off on me. She embarrassed me in front of my friends, show up at my job cursing me out. You got a disrespectful wife. But sir, let me ask you this question. Before you put a ring on her, was y'all wrecking and doing all of this and stuff before y'all got married, and then y'all make up and then go through some whatever stuff and you make up? You knew that. And you, Mr. Military Man, You done drove so much love away, you can't seem to find it because as soon as you get love, you like to beat the crap out of it. And you wondering why ain't nobody submitting because ain't nobody coming around you. Yo, I saw a video. That's why sometimes I need to get away from YouTube. I saw a video where the father, y'all go, you look it up. Father gets upset that he finds out that son got his girlfriend pregnant. The way this man was screaming like a banshee out of hell, I said to myself, this dude got to be single. Y'all. He talk about he mad about he talk about he mad because nobody told him about the gender reveal. He was like, F you, I don't understand this. I can't believe y'all not. I mean, the way he was going off, and then he took a bottle and started downing it. And I said, no wonder they didn't invite you. You crazy. No wonder why you're not invited to your own grandson or grandchild's announcement. You talking about I would have gave her the money to abort. So you talking about you would have killed your own grandchild. And you know that when that baby come and years from now, that baby gonna see the video of what his grandfather put out there. And you wonder why you wouldn't invite it because you crazy. And I'm thinking to myself, what woman, this dude got to be single because because which woman would submit to that? You showed your behind on social media. You were out of line, sir, and absolutely frightening. It's like, please take the bottle from him, take the keys from him, make sure there's no ammo in sight. Because this dude looked like, I mean, the way he was going off on that film, you got to be very careful no matter how much you are in your feelings. If something would have happened to his son, if his son would have got shot or something or killed, God forbid, the first thing they would have looked at is that video of his father acting a freaking fool, screaming to the top of the lungs because you just find out you got a precious gift on the way, and that's your grand newborn baby that's coming into the world. You got to be out your rabbit mind. And I said to myself, this dude got to be single. Because I can see right now he coming through the house and the biscuits ain't cooked. He gonna tear the whole place upside down and gonna have some shot of Patron and Henny down in and out. Talk about, I thought you was gonna have my biscuits ready. You supposed to submit. I mean, the way he was screaming, y'all, I thought it was it worse than T-Rex, worse than that daggone thing off of Jurassic Park. I see this is what women putting up with these days. Ooh wee. The guy looking at the video was like, the way he was screaming, you could just see like some of the spit splat. And he said, Dag, I felt the spit come on me. I'm like, oh, that's too much rage there. And some of y'all got a lot of issues, unclean demons and spirits on you that need to be cast out before you even think about saying I do to anybody. Talking about she don't submit to me. I'm seeing this right here. I'm the father. And I'm like, oh gosh, no wonder why women are putting their running boots on, their running shoes. I'm sorry. When I saw that, I said, ooh, mm, terrible. I know a lot of women was like, ooh, that's somebody else's problem. But I thought to myself, he got to be single. He kept screaming, a B ain't gonna do nothing for you, a B not gonna do a daggone thing for you. I'm thinking to myself, and then he says he asked his son and the girl, y'all on birth control, y'all strapped up, right? You were supposed to be a father and say that unless you are married, you don't do anything. You didn't even do that. And then now the announcement comes where you got friends calling you saying, congratulations, you about to be a grandpops. You like, what? And you go off in a rage. Could you imagine if that other girl's father saw that? You went off in the rage, and then some of y'all wonder, why don't she submit to me? Are you crazy? You cray. She better submit to getting the daggone ticket and hopping to the next daggone state to get away from you. Like y'all, some of y'all crazy out here. You can't submit to craziness. And some of y'all have worn women out of the submissionness. Like, what am I submitting to? Some women are really worn out. Like, they work all day, they come home, take care of the kids, they got to go out and mow the lawn, chop the chicken head off, pluck the daggone the feathers off, then go right ahead, gut the daggone thing out, slice it all up to make you a home cooked meal, and then have to turn over on her back. And then at the end of the day, you still coming back and clapping back and saying something negative. What is she submitting to? Please tell me, what is she supposed to be submitting to? Let's be very honest with the statistics of the household. And then some of y'all like that old fashioned marriage back in the day where you had two parents in the household, but you dudes walked away and your women did too. But that's what you're looking for and can't seem to find it because the whole time you got a living wife that you need to apologize to and make right. You looking for the adulterous woman to submit to you. Again, submission is a no-brainer when that's your wife. And she ain't got to announce to the world, guess what? Guess what, ladies? Ding, 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 ding. Guess what, ladies? Guess what? Guess what? I submit to my husband. He asked for some ice cream the other day, and guess what I did? I ran and got him the ice cream. Ding, 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 ding. Here go the other woman. Well, I can updo that. Before my husband even asked me for ice cream, I already had it ready for him. Like, come on, y'all. Be for real. You ain't gotta brag or boast about that. This should be a part of your nature. Just like a man, it should be a part of your nature to protect and provide and love your wife. You don't have to be like ding ding ding. Guess what, gentlemen? Guess what, gentlemen? Guess what I did for my wife today? Well, I made sure that the bills were paid, made sure she was protected, made sure that she was loved. I loved my wife before she left. Those are things that should come. It shouldn't come to a surprise. It only comes to a surprise for those of y'all that have been running these streets. And the rest of y'all, why won't the woman submit? Like, what are you really? What are you doing for her to submit? Are you loving her? Does she trust you? It's even like a horse. You know what I'm saying? I'm not comparing a woman to a horse, but even in style, some wild horse, like you would have to gain the trust to get on the back of it, right? You just don't jump on it because you won't find yourself flying 20 feet into the air or being kicked, because it's like, who are you? You got to earn the trust. You got to earn your trust. We're most look at me, I'm like, horses like apples. You have to talk and rub, be kind, love the horse. I'm not comparing this. I'm using this as an example, but you just don't hop on it and be like, I'm a man, you a horse, giddy up. You're gonna find yourself kicked to Timbuktu. y'all crazy. You gonna find yourself kicked. And most women know, unless the circumstances is totally different, unless I didn't know, but most women ain't giving their hands in marriage for total strangers. You're gonna have to put in work. And while you're doing that, while you're getting to know somebody, the first thing you need to ask the question, you need to look at the traits. You don't sit up here and marry somebody knowing daggone well their hygiene is horrible, they disrespect, all get up to marry them, and then turn around and be like they don't submit. But then when you met them, they didn't have a trait in them to even submit. So stop it. Stop. And again, what I'm starting to notice is you got these men that's 40 plus old that's asking for this. Where your wife at, sir? Well, I got married 20 years ago. She's still alive, sir? Yeah, well, go get your wife. You looking for a newbie or somebody that can't be your wife to submit when Jesus clearly says to the wives to submit to your husband. That's not your wife, so therefore you ain't getting submission. Those are the rules. Those are the rules. That's what Jesus said. Some people, well, I don't believe in God. Oh, well, you know what? So you running with the devil. So that's the reason why you're dealing with the issues you're dealing with right now. Some of y'all walk around with pride, too much pride. Pride cometh before the fall. And some of you women, you do need to learn how to shut up. You do need to know. What's the point of arguing? I've seen women loud mouth, huzzy, loud to the mouth. You do need to be quiet and shut up. You do need to learn. Well, the Bible says no man can tame his tongue. You need to study what a virtuous woman is. You need to get it there. Stop always just trying to start stuff, because some people are built off of drama. Some people are. They really are. They just feel if I'm argumentative, I gotta be right about everything. And the whole time you're wrong. Just be quiet. And I've seen it too. I've seen disrespectful wives. And you're looking like, ooh, where'd it get her from? But nevertheless, you still married then. So word to the wise is that if you are looking for someone to be submit to you, the one that you should be looking for is your wife. If you out here, I'm a man and I don't know what is wrong, what's up with you dudes talking about you have value. Valued in what way? Like you ain't got a heaven or hell that God can put you in? Because I'm gonna tell you something. You can't take a U-Haul to hell. You can't take a U-Haul to heaven. So what type of value are you talking? You just like everybody else. You were born and you gonna die. Period. So what type of value is it in that? Like I'm just trying to you know what I'm saying? Like y'all need to get off of your high horse with thinking, look at me. I saw a video. It was a guy walking. It was a black guy. He was walking and he was like, when a black man is valued in a different country. And it looked like he was in Thailand. And I'm like, but those are and all these women were blowing kisses and stuff at him. And I'm like, can somebody please let him know those are prostitutes? He was all smiling on the video, like, yeah, men should be lovers of themselves. And y'all that go around here boasting that, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. I had a friend that went to Thailand and he was talking about, I forgot what they call those women down there, but those women throw their sex because that's what they do for a living. They sell sex, committing fornication, going straight to hell, making money out of it. And this dude got an audacity to put the camera up while I'm like, these women are trying to get some business. You smiling like, I'm like, boy, if you get out of here. Yeah. Y'all walk around here with too many daggone mirrors. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous to me. Talking about why won't she submit? A good wife is not, you're not even going to ask those questions. You're not even have to ask those questions. But nowadays, when you have the woman who is the head of the household and single parenting, some days, look, the man who findeth the wife findeth a good thing. Mean you gotta stand firm in your household and take care of your children. If them jokers walking away from your responsibilities and you expecting somebody to you, I got news for you. It ain't gonna work. You expecting everybody to submit to you other than the one who's supposed to be, and that's your wife. It ain't gonna work. Y'all redefining things. It's like you want. So this is the way I'm looking at it. So you want to get sex without being married, because the Bible says that the marriage bed is not defiled. Whatever you do in that bed is not defiled. But you want to have sex without being married. That's fornication, sir. So now you want a submission without a wife. Excuse me? That doesn't make sense, sir. Where do you think the submission came from? Y'all come up with your own logics. Talking about I could be the captain on the ship. Really? When you got a lot of women out here that's the captain on their ship at home, taking care of children, grandparents, and some more stuff, and still getting out here and working. There's not a lot of two-parent households. There's not a lot of men and women in the same household. We're dealing with a huge epidemic of fatherless children. The numbers don't lie, sir. So before you talk about captains on ships, let's talk about, have you been taking care of your offspring? And women have gotten very accustomed. I'm not very accustomed. Women have gotten very, like, to the point, years taking care of their children until they watch them walk across the stage and be old enough that they're on their own. And now you want her to go back to what? When I first, and this is a true story, when I first met my husband, and see, my husband, I realized too, with my certain situation, I really can't compare him because he is dealing with an issue, okay, a medical issue, and I came into terms with that. I mean, came into terms with it, but I've been like yo-yoing upside and down because I was still in my feelings, like, he dipped out, but it is what it is. But anywho, when I first met my husband, it was a tug of war of even allowing him to lead, because I was so used to leading and paying my bills and doing things my way, that when we got married, he insisted that I immediately change my last name, and I did. He insisted that, well, he wanted me to make sure that, when it came to paying bills, that he wanted to take over that, and I was like, okay. So he was going over the budget and all of this other stuff, and at first I was very hesitant, and I was like, okay, that's my husband. And then my husband turned around. He turned around and shut down my account. He turned around and put me away. And I am not saying at all that this happens to all women, but there are a lot of women out here who have been hurt to the core, who husbands do not love them. And there's some women out here that should not be in the dating pool. They really should not. So when you're telling this woman to do something, and she like, you got me messed up, because my situation, my husband shut down the accounts when I was submissive to him. I was so submissive, I put him on my account, but when he didn't want no parts of me, he shut down the account so he could get his own account, and me and mine can go without, because we didn't have an account. I ain't saying all men are like that. I'm just using my situation. So if I was to ever go out here and start dating again, let's say my husband died, because y'all know I can't date nobody unless, my husband is dead. I can't be with anyone, marry another, unless my husband is not living anymore. But let's say I go out here and I start dating. That type of submission stuff, and let me take care of, no, I'm sorry. Sorry, sir. I've been through some things. But some of y'all got a lot of baggage that y'all dealing with, that y'all not even supposed to be out here dating, because you done been burnt before by your own husband, and therefore you don't trust another man. So when that other man wants to submit again, submission only comes from your wife, and she can't possibly be your wife because her husband is still alive. If y'all get that example that I just said. So when she's like, heck to the no, this sound familiar. This sound like what my ex-husband put me through. No, sir. Mm-mm. You may have had a wife that loved to bake, and she baked her husband a beautiful cake, and he took that cake while it was hot and threw it at her and burnt the mess out of her. Now she was like, she's put away or got her divorce papers, and now she out here trying to find love, and somebody's like, why don't she ever cook for me? She may suffer from that, but again, I mean, you never know. Submission comes from your wife. That's somebody else's wife. That's somebody else that needs to heal and apologize, which, first of all, healing comes from God. But her husband needs to apologize what he did to her, because she ain't gonna trust nobody else. She didn't walk down the aisle and became one flesh. That's why you have to have your own wife. And with that, you look for the traits in this woman. Can't be sitting up here, you don't went ahead because she had a BBL done and she got 15-inch high heel shoes, and you marry her talking about she always dressed too provocative. Well, why did you marry her? You knew what time it was. When you first met her, y'all was getting in little arguments and you thought that was cute, and you married her and y'all getting big arguments when you saw that. Y'all gonna have to learn. You gotta love and submit, and you have to submit. And I say this because Jesus said for the husbands to love your wife. Some of you are tyrants. You are freaking crazy nuts. I'm talking about nutty nut. I have a god sister of mine, and her father is a daggone mess. I never even met the man. He's so horrible. He cursed out the kids, and the kids are only like 3 and 4, and he the grandfather. His mouth is so filthy because he shows no love for his wife. But that's not her real husband anyway. Her real husband's still living, and no wonder why. You know she's being submissive and he ain't loving her at all. It's not a match. And some of y'all say, well, I married a horrible person. Well, that's the person you chose. What am I supposed to do now? Remain unmarried or reconcile? Y'all know the game. Y'all know the rules and regulations. And you wonder why won't she submit? Excuse me, sir. I'm looking at you. Like I saw this guy say that he went out on a date with a woman, right? He went out on a date with a woman. They was talking on the phone the whole time, so he went out on a date with her. And I could see he had police on his shirt. He said that when he took her out on a date, I think he went out on the second date, and he said, "I'm gonna just squeeze her in because I have 2 other dates." And I said, "Oh, you a hoe? Like, excuse my mouth, like." And you said that on film. What's up? See, that's what I'm saying. Men should be lovers of themselves. So you squeezed her in on a date. You know, when you go courting, you would think when you go courting, you're really supposed to be looking for an eligible wife. But you just want to, So anywho, so he says that everything was cool, and she was like, she's a little nervous. So he bought her a drink, and she bought one of them big drinks. And he washed her down, and then she started talking some wild stuff about what she did with her friends. And I said, you ain't even a gentleman either. You sat up here and you made sure that she was nice and juicy. And then when she started saying certain things, it just alarmed you that you had to go to social media for that. But yet you chose the spot, and if you're not a drinker, why would you choose a spot where they serve alcohol? You could have went to Starbucks, sir. She said she was all wasted and drinking, and you still went ahead and walked her to her car, knowing that you got police on your blouse, and she about to drive away. That shows your ugliness. But nevertheless, he did point out that she had a trait. But you, sir, you have a trait too. Narcissistic. Okay. But he says that she started talking about when her first date, she had bad experiences because, after she got intimate, things didn't happen right. And he like, oh, I don't want a woman like that. But then yet you squeezed her in because you got 2 other dates. And then you told her, no, well, I'm going to leave. But she said, you leaving so soon? Yeah, I got another date. Now you put her feelings down. You narcissistic. You're very narcissistic. You build her up to break her down, to embarrass her, send her on her way, and say, I got 2 dates. You, sir, are thought to. And I'm thinking to myself, y'all sitting up here, y'all want submission. Y'all want women to submit, but you don't even check your own selves. You want a man to love you, but you don't even check your own selves. Y'all don't even know what love is. Y'all keep going back and forth and putting each other down. And you got some women that's taking to social media like, I never, 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 never dating ever again. And you got a lot of women that's just like, that's right. And you got men that sit up here looking for women because guess what? You got all these women that say, I ain't never. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to change your way. And everything in life, you have to work. A man who don't work, he don't eat. A man who findeth the wife findeth a good thing and obtains favor. Some of y'all been acting like y'all ain't been finding good things when you found yourself your wife. You work for the car that you drive. You work for the job that you got. You work for the house that you live in. You work for that. That didn't just land in your lap. You worked for her to love you. Cause that's what you did. You loved her and she submitted to you. You didn't even have to ask no questions. But you can't expect a woman who ain't married to submit to you. You can't. For what? What's the point? When you come around and some of y'all you swept down, you want a good woman, but you wouldn't even know what to do with a good woman. I never forget it, and I hope my phone don't. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I mean, that's all I have to say about that. But people, like I said, people are crazy out here. I be looking and like I said, I be looking with my binoculars, like, ooh, y'all are really, mm, ooh. No wonder why you dealing with the things you dealing with. Men want a submissive wife. The men ain't taking, and these same men ain't taking care of their children, and they daggone sure they ran their wives away. They're on to the next woman trying to claim to be a wife, but really they want somebody to do what they want. They want them to go to work. They want them to cook for them. They want to have the sex when they want to have it. They want the person to shut up and take the abuse. I don't know what type of stuff y'all looking for, because there are really great women out here. There's great women all up and down these streets. But the majority of the men out here, they don't want commitment because they say, I'm high valued. I don't need to have marriage. Remember, submission only comes from a wife. You trying to redefine it and give it over to a single woman. You want all of those. You want all of this because you can see that's a cop out plea, because you already getting those things when it comes to fornicating. You when it comes to that sin, but now you want to do it in peace. Like some of y'all been playing house. That's my husband, and yes, my hubby, and my yeah. She would piss me off when she would call her husband. I mean, her boyfriend, her husband, because he was not her husband. Some of y'all playing house, and I mean, y'all really playing house. Y'all really playing house. And then I'm gonna tell you another thing too that I think is very dangerous is when a man don't feel like he's being submitted to. The first thing and so the truth of the matter is this: is that you have a lot of women now that I've seen all these videos where women are so hurt that they much rather, they really want to just be by themselves. The same way that men were out here, and there were men out here promoting this, men going our own way type of whatever. Now women have followed suit with it, and it's not making any sense because this too is a destroyer of society. You're not going to have a lot of babies being born if everybody doing their own thing. But look at Japan. Japan is doing just that, but they're doing it peacefully in such a way where they're on video games. They don't scream to the top of their lungs, or they're doing it in this. They're on video games. They don't scream to the top of their lungs, or they're doing it in a soft nature, but it's not natural. But it's starting to spill on this side of the tracks where you're starting to see, and this is me as the observer. I'm seeing women who used to pray to have a husband that's just like, I'm good without one. And when the men were just like, I ain't getting married, I ain't getting married, and I'm talking to some of you men out here, and you know who I'm talking to, because if it's 8 people on the line, y'all know I don't got a lot of subscribers. But if it's 8 people on the line, and it's in that, say for instance, I got 4 men on there, 3 out of y'all probably really was not there for your children. And you most likely walked away from marriages, because that's just statistically, it is the statistics. Some men don't even believe in marriage because they probably watched their friend go through hell and high water dealing with a divorce. And then I've seen women be horrible to their husbands. I've seen women put their own husbands away, and I'm thinking, not in this day and time, honey. You was a fool to do that. When there are so many women out here that's looking for a good man, and you just gonna get rid of your husband. But it ain't over, because you're both still living. But statistically wise, then you had this whole movement where men were just like, oh, I'm not getting married. But the bigger thing that I noticed, and I have to say it, in my circle as a Black woman, I noticed that majority of all the women that I know that had children, the fathers were not really there. My father was there, but then he committed adultery and he got ghost for a minute, and later on he came back into our lives. But what I'm trying to say is that's a normal thing. It's not normal, but that was a normal thing for me to see, which means, Houston, we got a problem. And then as I got older, everybody wanted to get married. They wanted to find that right one. But then it became this brotherhood with men getting together saying, forget marriage. Don't have marriage. I got 2 uncles. They not married. I got 3 uncles. They not married. Some of my aunts, majority of them not married. Or some of them are separated. Like that's a norm. I have brothers that are bachelors, pretty much. They're not married. They're not married. And I think that it well, and I think one of the main issues is that they weren't taught that, okay, you need to provide. You need to be a provider. Because even when you go, even when you go to like those folks in the Amish, I'll never forget this. I would never forget this. I was looking at a documentary about the Amish, and they were talking about the school teacher and stuff. This 14-year-old boy said, "That's what he said. He said, I can have my own family, and I know how to provide and take care of my own family, because that's what the men teach them." And he was only 14. He was only 14. But that's what where he came from, where the men teach them to do those things. Like the men nowadays, they're not teaching them. Like I said, I did a video with Pastor Gino, and he was going in on the men out there that's not taking care of their children. That's because it's lately, especially, that's a huge epidemic that we've been dealing with. But you had a lot of folks, big influencers like TD Jakes, Cleflo Dollar, a lot of these guys um, that ignored the problem that we're having with society and babies being born out of wedlock. So now we got this new thing where men going their own way, and now, thanks for the movement, women have followed suit with it, because they're just like, it ain't no point in me. If women are looking at it like this, if I'm sitting up here working, I have to take care of the children, I have to go grocery shopping, cook, mow the lawn, do all of the stuff that I would think that a man is supposed to do, and he's not doing, and I got to keep chasing them around. And most women, I'm going to be very honest with you, most women date someone because in hopes that he's going to be the provider. He's going to put her in that house and in that picket fence. He's going to provide for her children so they can live happily ever after. We were sold that lie. We were sold that. And the crazy part about it was, it could have been that way, because men are, they're supposed to be providers and protectors, so it should come natural, right? But some of these men decided, like, no, I want to do my own thing. I want to hang out with my guys, my fellas. I don't feel like being home around kids and my wife all day. I've seen my mother do it on her own. I've seen his girlfriend and his ex-wife doing it on her own. You good to do it on your own too. So women are now, they're basically saying it's no point then. Well, why am I going to waste my tears, my time, my body with somebody who's not going to provide and love for me? So I might as well go my own way. And now there's this huge uprising where people are mad about that. You better go back to the old school way. You better love her and provide for her, and with that, submission will come, because you're not going to be able to catch a fish with the bait that you got on, because you ain't even got on, you don't even have bait on the end of your hook. You got poison, the type of poison that you don't even, it's not yours is not even empty. You have poison on the end of yours, and it's driving the fish away. Women see you coming a mile away, and they already heard about you, and you looking for submission. You choose the one with that's real mouthy and ready to fight and wreck you, and be like, why won't she submit? Well, why did you choose her? You had all these women over here because they were too nice. So you wanted to put up with a challenge, and now it's kicking your hot pots. Y'all, please make it make sense. Please make it make sense. So yeah, so I just honestly, in this day and time, I would say, like, you gotta you gotta look. A man who findeth a wife, you got to look far. You got to look through the fields, under rocks, to find yourself a good woman. And the same thing, well, you got a lot of good women out here, but a lot of them are hurt. And especially if they got living husbands, that can't possibly be her, because her husband is still living. Submission comes from a wife. But you need to look for one, and stop looking for what these video vixens look like. Those with BBLs and stuff. Stop looking for a baddie. you know start looking for someone that you can thrive with, grow old with, that you can love and be open with, that's going to have your back. Some of y'all, you run after your men so hard that it is sickening. You put your friends before your wife, your significant other. It's sickening. I told you the other day, these two guys was like, some men just like being around their guys. They not gay or nothing. They just, they like being around their guys. And I'm like, they just like to, they're attracted to women, but they don't like to be around their wives and stuff. So what are you promoting? And this is the reason why women are now just like, oh, that's it. I'm done. I'm good. I just want to go somewhere and have fun. Some women are really converting back to the days before they even thought about dating. The days when you had other things that was on your mind other than marriage. That, like when you were a kid, where you play hopscotch or double dutch and you went places, and you know, I'm gonna be very honest. I'm gonna try to plan me a trip to Egypt. I saw a person who just came back from Egypt, and he showed us a video of him on the back of this horse, and he was riding so fast on that horse like it was nothing. He said that he grew up on his grandfather's farm, on the stable. So he said his father had a stable, and he said he knew how to ride. And I just thought that was so cool. Like, you can see the pyramids, and you are just riding a horse. Women and men are finding a lot more thrill with life and doing things. And it'd be great to do it with the person you love. It would be awesome to do it with the person you love, meaning your husband and your wife. But if you're not willing to love, you sitting up here walking around like, I'm high valued. I'm high valued. Ah. I'm like, boy, bye. You gonna die just like everybody else. Value that. Value loving the life that God gave you. Value loving your wife that God gave you. Value loving your children. Let somebody else say that you're valued. Stop walking around with a mirror because you look ugly just by saying that. And I'm going to tell you something, women, I will honestly say this because the Bible says that as a man who finds a wife findeth a good thing, you the good thing, and obtains favor from God. You know why he's able to get this, that? The reason why he got blessings on his life is because he got the favor from God. You the good thing. He found a good thing and it belongs to him. You the good thing. Anyway, y'all have a blessed day today.